A few months ago, someone blamed me for something I hadn't done. I came home and strangely, I kept defending myself. Not to them, to myself. Why do we do that? Welcome to today's episode on not love bombing, narcissistic bombing. What is this narcissistic, Mira? That is your that that's something that you're talking about. Well, I would say this is something not just alone in our um, history books about Mussolini or Hitler. Oh, not only them. Narcissistic behavior, I would call it as that's something that you see every now and then. You would have experienced, or might be you would have also given that experience to anyone, someone in your life. But why am I talking about it? This is something like many times our mind, our brain, our body captures somebody's reaction or a body language, but we keep doubting our own signals. It might not be true. Why am I unable to comprehend what that person is telling? Why am I getting jittery for whatever he or she does? Yes, today's episode on copy and conversation, it's beyond reactions through storytelling on narcissistic bombing when their story becomes your story. Absolutely. Their story becoming your story. Or did you just borrow someone else's guilt? We cannot laugh about it, but after some time, when you reach a certain point in your life, this is what happens. I have experienced that. Have you ever stood in front of the mirror? Of course, we all do that, Mira. Yes, absolutely, we all do that. And apologized for somebody else's mistake without knowing what you were apologizing for. Not, loud, but inside. I'm sorry. I'll do better. I shouldn't have spoken that. I should have known. I shouldn't have said that. And then, few hours later, um, like you ask yourself, what exactly did I do? Why did I apologize? Sometimes the answer is nothing. And yet your heart has already pleaded guilty. Pull up a chair as I'm going to sharing what I'm sharing with you. Pour yourself a cup of a coffee or a tea or something that you can just warm up your throat with. Because today we are not talking about someone else's behavior. We are talking about what happens inside us. And why am I sharing this? Because this is what I have experienced. And when I experienced it, I'm just sharing the observation, what I felt, what I went through. When someone else's behavior quietly becomes our own story, right? We don't know what to do. That's what I call it as it's a borrowed story. One thing I've realized over the years is that not every story inside our head was written by us. Some are borrowed, not from the books. It is borrowed like a luggage. Someone arrives carrying their emotional suitcase. Instead of unpacking it, instead of letting them know that this is not my suitcase, they quietly hand it over to you and you take that as a bouquet and keep it inside your mind. The bouquet is dried. It's time for it to find its own place. The dried, the one which is stinking, safely it is in her mind. Because we love them, we respect them, and we fear of losing them. We carried initially that it's light. You know that bouquet when you receive it fresh, the fragrance. The next day, yeah, it's fine. Third day, it's okay. Let me just keep it for some more time. And fourth day, it's actually looking at you and say, please put me into the trash. I'm dried. Fifth day, it stopped talking to you. Sixth day, it wants to hide itself. But what have you done? You've kept the bouquet safely in front of you. A kind of a hoarding, I would call it as. One sentence, what you always hear. Why do you overreact? The other one, you're too sensitive. Another one, you misunderstood. You made me angry. You forced me to behave like this. One sentence doesn't feel heavy. Neither does two. But years later, Like this lorry which is going in the background as I'm talking to you, right? It just comes loud like that. Years later, you're carrying an entire suitcase, not one or two, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of suitcases that you're carrying, not filled with the clothes which are never washed, and the clothes that don't fit you also. Like a pressure cooker. Like I often talk about pressure cookers because I genuinely think that they understand humans better than human understand human. Ah, okay, I said that. Yes, of course, I said that. A pressure cooker whistles because the pressure needs somewhere to go. Imagine a pressure cooker that never gets to whistle. The pressure builds, the steam builds, and eventually, what happens? Even the smallest flame will feel dangerous. Sometimes people live exactly like that. But here's where the story changes. Instead of releasing their own pressure, they increase your pressure. And suddenly you become the cooker. They are calm, you're anxious. They are certain because they know what needs to be done and they've done that. You are confused. They are speaking, you are explaining. They are quiet and you're crying. And slowly you begin to believe that you were the pressure all along. Can I also bring the another example that is of the blue tick story? You've noticed, right? One blue tick can ruin someone's entire day. One message say no reply within minutes our brain becomes a Netflix writer. No, I'm not promoting Netflix. I'm just quoting that as an example. They are upset. They ignored me. I shouldn't have said that. I've hurt them. Nothing happened except our brain completed an unfinished chapter. That is using yesterday's memories. That's what many emotional relationships feel like too. One expression, one silence, one eye roll, one sigh, and suddenly our brain fills in every blank space using fear instead of the facts. I mean, it's like an invisible report card. As children, many of us grew up collecting stars. Have you done that? I have done that. Even it could be those leaves, dry leaves, and those feathers when I used to keep it inside the book and waiting for that to become two, three, or more. Some stars I would want to talk about is like a good girl, goodbye, well done, excellent. Ah, you're obedient. Somewhere we began believing love arrives only after performance. One performance dance, love will come. So later in life, when someone keeps moving the goalpost, how difficult is that, right? You're playing a game, and there is someone who keeps shifting the goalpost. We don't question the game. We don't know where the umpire is. We don't know where the person who's supposed to be there is also. But you are playing with the goalpost which is just shifting around you. Not even around you, somewhere else it is now. We simply try harder. Maybe tomorrow they'll appreciate me. Maybe tomorrow they'll forgive me. Maybe tomorrow they'll understand me. And finally become that. That tomorrow keeps changing just like the changing goalpost. The story beneath is, like why I always say every reaction has a story beneath it. Sometimes someone shouts because they are overwhelmed. Sometimes someone withdraws because they are frightened. Someone controls because uncertainty terrifies them. Whatever I'm sharing, right? Close your eyes for some time and just not imagine. If you can just pull back those old leaflets from your mind, you were right. But someone, in order to shut you up, they were overwhelmed. What if you spoke the truth, or if you land up speaking the truth or facts? The other person would have screamed or frightened, and by doing so, they got a control on you. Right? It is like you're handing over your your emotions, your thoughts for an approval in their hand. Now they have put that into their mind and they've locked it, and the key is also not with them. Understanding someone's story doesn't mean you must become a character in their story. When you listen to a story of someone, what they are sharing, don't put your facts into it. Don't try to prove what you want to talk about. Just listen and move on. That is an important difference, I would call it as. Empathy. Sympathy is important, but only where someone or something deserves it. Don't confuse empathy and sympathy, because end of the day you will fall into the later part. Empathy doesn't require self abandonment. Um, my favorite library I want to talk as, imagine walking into a library, thousands of books. One shelf says stories about me, another one says stories others told me. How many of us have accidentally picked books from the wrong shelf? You'll never succeed. The wrong shelf is talking about you will never succeed. You're difficult. Nobody will understand you. Hey, you're too emotional, man. Hey, why are you getting worked up? Forget it, they're all stories. These are the titles I'm talking about. Somebody wrote, somebody repeated. Eventually, what we did, we went and picked up the book from the other shelf and we began reading them as though they were biographies about our own self. I would say this is an unfinished chapter because one of my favorite ideas is that life is filled with a lot of these unfinished chapters. Some conversations end, some never begin. You just wait for one good day. You would have done the foundation puja also for that building. But the conversation will never come. Be rest assured. Some apologies will never arrive. You're standing in a station where the train keeps just going. And the train doesn't stop in that station. And you're waiting for the train to stop. It's just the similar way you're waiting for the person to apologize. But our mind hates those unfinished chapters, because we crave for the gratification. We crave for to be addressed for what we didn't. So it writes endings usually like the harsh ones or the harshest ones. It must be my fault. I should have tried harder. I should have explained. Or I should have kept quiet. I know I am right, but still I should have told that I am only wrong. Have you noticed that? You've done that? I have done that, of course. I raise my collar and say, I have done that. But that's the old story. Old story will never hide. The old story keeps coming back. What did I do? Even to date, when the old story comes, I just look at it, thanks for teaching me the lesson. It takes a lot to say that. It's a years and years and years of practice. It's a years and years of hypnotizing myself to say that that's the old story happened with me. But why should I repeat that? Why should I give that as a legacy to my child? Can I shut it there itself? Absolutely. When the old story talks to me, I just need to shut it up and say that, yes, I heard you. Now here, move on. And go about building the new narrative. You don't have to continue all the stories in the same book. It's something like you write an exam, where the invigilator says, you're done with the extra answer sheets, and you just go about writing in every corner of the paper, and you don't even know if the person who's going to correct your papers is even bothering to look at those corners where you have written your answers. Exactly, I would, put my foot down and say that's exactly what we're doing. Why should I do that? I don't need that extra answer sheet. I don't need an answer sheet in first place, and that isn't an exam that I really want to write. Also, whenever information is missing, our inner critic volunteers immediately. Yes, I would call it as inner critic. Just imagine sitting with a cup of a coffee with someone or a coffee. They spill a little coffee. Would you say, "Hey, you always spill"? No. In such a gathering, you might offer a tissue paper and you might also clean the table. Smile also. And you would continue the conversation. Then why, when we make one mistake, do we turn it into our identity? And the mistake that we haven't done also, someone else has done it just to keep them in their emotional balanced state. We create our own, narrative identity saying that this is what I am. It should have been my mistake. This is what the narcissistic bombing is all about. The other person would have done all the mistakes. But one reaction from your end, They will make you look like a victim. I would say, stop it. Sometimes we cannot change the person. Why the hell? We are not here born to change everyone in the life. You're not here born to heal everyone. First, heal yourself. Just in the airline industry, the air hostess says, the making an announcement. First, help yourself before reaching out to your, the person sitting next to you. Don't bother about who's sitting next to you. Sometimes within family, you cannot get away. It's like you have checked in, but you cannot check out. Sometimes it's you who chose this battlefield. You don't have to fight all the battles. Leave it to others. In psychology or in my learnings, I've come across this thing, gray rock. You keep shouting, shouting at the rock. What is the rock gonna do? Until unless there is a landslide, it won't fall on you, or a heavy wind. The rock chooses to be silent, quiet. When you become quiet, it makes you feel bad that, oh no, I have to show this person, I have to prove that he or she is wrong. Stop it. The person has ears but doesn't want to listen to. Then why do you have to make your point and waste your energy and time? I would say put that into another bucket. That bucket which has new projects for you. That bucket where you want to do what you want to do. It could be tiniest of the thing, something you've never explored. You might say, hey, I was really bad at drawing. That's why I didn't choose biology. But today I would say take one paper and a pen and draw one part or a flower or your own face and laugh at it. Everyday practice. You will have to hypnotize yourself with the everyday practice because narcissistic bombing will happen in every walk of life. It could be from the person who walks with a coat and a suit. It could be with a person who's beautifully dressed and elegant in the way she talks. But yes, the sweetness has the poison loaded behind it. Watch out. I would say that. It's easy to say, oh, I should have. No, I would say, why do you have to say that? I would invite you to reflect that. Take a notebook. Draw two columns. On one side, my story, write it. On the other side, write it as stories I borrowed. Don't overthink. No grammar, no full stop, no beautiful handwriting. Just take a paper, draw a column. On one side, it is my story, the other side, stories I borrowed. Just write, I'm too much. Ask yourself, who first told me that? Next, I would say, I always ruin things. Or if they say you ruin things. Who said that? That is a never ending story. I would say, stop the pen over there. Come to the column which talks about your story. What do you want to write, you write. It could be, like I mentioned, a hobby. It could be something like silly. I want to go alone and have a coffee. Do that. That's your story, of course. It means a lot. Or even it could be like, um, I just want to go for a shopping and pick up something for us, anything it could be. It could be a bindi. It could be a book. It could be just take a handbag and just go out and come back. Just do that. Healing doesn't always begin with finding new answers because it begins by returning the borrowed stories. Don't look for the person whoever told you what they told. Don't go in search of them. Forget them. It's like returning a library book after several years. And you know what you'll get to hear when you return the library book after a long time. Yeah, I've done that, but why do that now? Just leave the book there. Run away from there. Sometimes physically we cannot leave people and things and situation, but can we create a boundary for our own self? That boundary, that fencing, which says, I am confident, I am bold, I am happy, I am the way I am, and I create what I want to create, not at the cost of others, but for my own safety, my own peace. Maybe today you don't need another motivational quote. This is not motivational quote, yeah? You just simply need to stop carrying someone else's unfinished chapter. Because their reaction doesn't have to become your identity. Their anger doesn't have to become your guilt at all. Their silence doesn't have to become your punishment here. Their story doesn't have to become your life at all. Yeah, ask one. Before going to sleep, ask one question. Or anytime now. Is this really my story? Or have I been carrying someone else's book all along? Thank you for joining me for another episode of Copy and Conversation. Until next time, may you notice the stories beneath your reactions. And like I said, gently ask yourself, is this really my story or have I been carrying someone else's book all along my life? Take care and don't forget to return those borrowed stories. They become surprisingly heavy when we keep renewing them. Forget that subscription. Take care of yourself. See you soon. Ta-da. Bye-bye.